Good evening, Your Honor. Now, in order to find the prosecution must first prove three things: a motive, a means, a motive, and an opportunity. Because the prosecution has a burden of proof, if any of one of these can be disproved, the court must return its own justifiable verdict of not guilty. Tonight, the defense has failed to prove that Jordan Brand had either a means, a motive, or an opportunity. Your Honor, the only credible evidence that the prosecution has been able to present was that a part of the court killed Palmer, and that at some point Brand had pulled over the road behind President Palmer's house. However, none of these points come even close to satisfying the prosecution's burden of proof. Renowned forensic pathologist Dr. Haynes Flenderson showed that many of Dr. Scott's assumptions were seriously flawed. Dr. Flenderson easily dismounted Dr. Scott's claim that the killer was left-handed and showed that Dr. Scott's opinions on the killer's height was far too narrow. He also explained that the certain kills found under Palmer's fingernails were so common that they were of little value, and questioned Dr. Scott's theory that blood was being used by pointing out that no blood were found at the scene. So many of Dr. Scott's claims are incorrect that one must question their credibility. Morgan Bernard testified that nobody followed Palmer into the neighborhood, and that there is a wider spectrum of suspects that the prosecution claims. Danny Levinson testified that Brand harbored no hatred of President Palmer and preferred Brand's whereabouts on the night of April 15, 2009. Finally, Mr. Brand testified himself to his own whereabouts on April 13, 2009. He explained that he signed up at the Hollywood Humor Club at 4:30, went to his good friend Danny Levinson's house, and then returned to his place and remained for 3 hours and then left. Because Mr. Brand was at the Hollywood Humor Club until 10 p.m., there is no way that Brand would have been at President Palmer's house at 9:40 at the time of the murder. Neither did Bernard see a car behind Palmer, destroying the prosecution's stalking theory. As for the tire tracks found behind Palmer's house, the prosecution has been unable to determine when the tracks were made. They keep attempting to show that they were made on the night of the murder, but this assumption is flat out wrong. The tire tracks were made on April 12, 2009, when Jordan Brand pulled off the side of the road to check his tire. This is well within the time frame before the murder started. If Brand had gone out of his car, he would have left footprints, but Detective Malone testified that no footprints were found. The type of microphone cord that Brand owns, the one the prosecution so decisively pointed out as a murder weapon, is also owned by Jenny Levinson, Ryan Howard, and as Dr. Gunnarsson pointed out, hundreds of others. Even if the murder weapon was a Sony FP100 microphone cord, there is no decisive proof to this theory. This would put hundreds of performers in the suspect's seats. There was no DNA found on Brand's microphone cord, a point that the prosecution has made, though it is an important piece of evidence. Thousands of other microphone cords of the same type could also be the murder weapon. Why then did Detective Kendall Malone and Dr. Scott so blindly believe that they should only investigate one microphone cord out of the hundreds of the same kind? For all the prosecution knows, their supposed experts could have easily missed the real weapon, even with Palmer's DNA, which could be laying in the garage of Ryan Howard or one of the other thousands who hated Palmer. The prosecution argued that the microphone cord found in Brand's car was the murder weapon. But this assumption is like assuming you won the lottery without even buying a lottery ticket. Detective Malone made several rash assumptions based on the testimony of several less than reliable witnesses. First, he immediately dismissed as a suspect Morgan Bernard, the last person to see Preston Palmer before his death, and the first person to see him dead. Secondly, he based a large portion of his investigation on the testimony of 2 witnesses who have motives other than the public good. Taylor Hudson is the first of Malone's unreliable witnesses. First, she is a huge fan of Palmer. In fact, her coffee shop received Palmer's only 5-star review. Also, her view of Brand is colored because she only spoke with him once, and their conversation gave Hudson an unreal idea of who Brand really is. Her testimony cannot be trusted, and because she is far from unbiased in her opinion of Brand. Ryan Howard is more than just an unreliable witness, he's also a likely suspect. Like Brand, he owned a Sony FP100 microphone cord. More importantly, he also favored Preston Palmer for not only ruining his club, but also dashing his hopes of selling the place. Ryan Howard wasn't dead, and Palmer's review destroyed his hopes of paying his debts off. He had not stated alibi for the night of the murder, a fact that the prosecution completely ignores. If anyone is the subject in this case, it is him. Your Honor, tonight the prosecution has failed to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that they have the correct suspect in custody. They have presented nothing but circumstantial evidence to the court, and thus they have not satisfied their burden of proof. Your Honor, the defense requests that you review the evidence presented tonight and return the only justifiable verdict, not guilty.
Thank you. Rebuttal from the prosecution.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, the defense talked about unreliable witnesses. They failed to mention was that their own witness lied under oath. Danny Levinson testified that she would lie for Jordan Bratton and was later caught lying under oath to protect Jordan Bratton. He said that Jordan never verbally attacked Preston Palmer, when the opposite is true. Now, on April 13th, the defense says that Jordan Bratton was in Hollywood Humor the entire time. Jordan Bratton testified that on April 13th, 2009, the night of Preston Palmer's murder, he was at Hollywood Coffee Shop. At the Hollywood Coffee Shop with Preston Palmer. Later that night, Taylor Hudson saw Jordan Bratton's car following Preston Palmer. That night, Preston Palmer was murdered. There are no other suspects in this case, only Jordan Bratton. The prosecution has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Jordan Bratton is guilty of murder in the first degree.
Thank you. Rebuttal from the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. Verbally attacked in front of me. Levinson probably did not attend Bratton's comedy. And there are no other suspects?
All right. Before I render my verdict, you may confer with your attorney, teacher, coaches, regarding very good. My verdict in this case is that the defendant, Mr. Bratton, is not guilty. The reason behind that is that the evidence presented is primarily circumstantial. In a circumstantial case, the prior fact is required where two reasonable interpretations may be given to accept the one that points to innocence. Moreover, the prosecution's burden is a heavy one, proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And that is a difficult burden to sustain under the facts of this case, which is primarily on circumstantial evidence. As I said at the outset, this verdict does not represent my presentation of the two teams. I thought both teams did an excellent job of presenting the witnesses and the facts and arguing the various points. You handled objections well, and I think that the way you presented the witnesses made it quite interesting. I realized that both teams, in their own way, were laboring under certain problems that they had, but they seemed to handle them with poise and calm. I'd like to have the scorers make some general comments, and then you're welcome to stay around, and if the scorers have comments about individual performances, you can get those then. I have some if people want to hear those